spider right there.
Oh shit. Oh wow, that's a big one.
Oh God.
Yeah, get comfy, get comfy.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Lions Den. My Lions boy, Fitness, and we are here today with Mr. Alec.
What's up? What's up? How we doing?
He owns his own nutrition company. He's also a private chef, and today we're just gonna be asking him some questions. Questions about nutrition, questions about, developing meal plans, developing just a program for you guys to follow. Of course, he's just gonna give some inside tips. He's not gonna give the meat and potatoes, as you'd say, but he's gonna give some generalized things, and we're just gonna dive right in. But first and foremost, I want to thank you, for doing this.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool for you to take your Sunday morning at 8:30 in the morning to do.
Beautiful day. Can't beat it.
Yeah. So, what made you want to start your own nutrition company? That's what I really want to know.
That came up kind of like organically, kind of out of nowhere, where I played a lot of sports growing up, so I kind of had to have some general idea of how to take care of myself with nutrition. So I kind of knew it from there, and I mean, it wasn't the first thing I wanted to do. I mean, I was into a lot of different things growing up, but I didn't really know what my routine was. But I noticed that I was really good with grocery shopping, and like weird stuff like that, and like I really liked looking at labels and stuff. And that's kind of where I got into it. And then in college, I kind of just picked it up in nutrition, and I took a nutrition class, and I was like, this is sweet. I really like this kind of stuff, and if you can curate your own nutrition to how it works with you, you can really do a lot of things with it. So
yeah. So building off of that, tailoring nutrition to you, how would you go about doing that?
Tailoring, it really depends on the person's situation. So like, if it's a medical condition they have, an allergy, you won't know until you take the proper tests, and it's not something I can do personally, but it's something that it's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Not everything works for everyone, like keto, vegan, depends on the person. If their goals are to gain muscle, you gotta focus on the protein. If they're focused on fat loss, it's the same thing with protein, when you gotta watch out for the fat and the type of carbs you're using with the carb cycle. But it all depends on the person and what they're into and what kind of food they like to, because at the end of the day, if they don't like the food they're eating, they're not going to enjoy themselves.
Okay, so I feel like that brings a big question, because like everybody's always like, oh, chicken, rice, chicken and veggies, like you brought up a good point of enjoying your food. I feel like a lot of people, myself included, just shovel food in our mouths and tons of meat.
Oh yeah, I mean, if it gets the job done, absolutely, I totally get where that stigma comes from. But you also have to realize that sometimes the food that gets you to your goal isn't always good for you in the long run too either.
So how would you suggest making it taste better, or is there somewhere they can go to look at your recipes, and like how would you make them taste better?
It really just comes down to what their favorite foods are. Usually that's one of my main questions I ask people is like, what are your favorite foods? What do you like to eat most of the time? What do you eat on a daily basis? When do you eat it? I usually start with the lifestyle part before I get to their goals, because the foundation of it would be their lifestyle, and I wouldn't want to alter it in any way so it doesn't seem like they're on a diet, you know what I mean? So whatever their favorite foods are, whether it's mac and cheese, it could be the most unhealthy shit, it doesn't even matter, but I can alter it so that it's more healthy. So like a burger, we can take it and make it maybe a Beyond Burger, which is not as healthy, it's an alternative route kind of thing. It reduces the cholesterol and stuff like that, if that's what their goals are, but it still has the amount of protein that you need. But yeah, it's really just kind of balancing it out, keeping the same foods that they love, but also adding in foods that they might like based on what their favorite foods are.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You doing your own business, and this is kind of more of a business question than it is nutrition, but like, I don't know. I told you guys in the very beginning I can't talk. The very beginning of my channel that I am very entrepreneurial and I love business. I support anything that's a business. I'll never hate on a grind. But I just want to ask him, like, how did you get started? Because like I feel like you kind of did this on your own, didn't you? Like you didn't have any help.
Yeah, it was pretty much just kind of a whirlwind. I kind of just started talking to people about it. The more I got comfortable with my elevator pitch, basically, and like talking to people about my company and just what I'm doing, and literally anytime anyone asked me, like, it doesn't matter who they were, family members, friends of family, friends of friends, doesn't matter. I was just, it kind of, if they asked me, I was just like more than comfortable to tell them what I'm doing. And even if I was like, I had one client at the time, I'd tell them, you know what I mean? And they would be more than happy to help me out. You know, the more honest you are, I feel like, with people about what your goals are and what you're trying to do, more people are like, you'll be surprised at how many people will be like, oh yeah, just fucking do it. Like,
Yeah.
I'll help you out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it kind of organically started, for sure.
That brings up a good point. You know, like, I feel like this goes with anything in life. You know,
Yeah.
they buy into you, the vision, before they buy into the service or product.
Absolutely.
So it's like, if for anybody who's trying, you know, start your own business or trying to build your own YouTube or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
just have a vision before it, and people will buy into that, and then they'll buy into the actual product and service. So I don't know. I said, I really support entrepreneurship. So sidetrack, but hey.
No, it's good.
But how many times a day do you recommend somebody eats? Because you always hear saying like, oh, like I only eat once, like, you know, intermittent fasting, like that big famous guy on Instagram that just eats one big massive meal.
Yeah, I would love to pick his brain, to be honest with you. But
and then you have like those bodybuilders who have like 6 meals every 3 hours, and then you have the regular 9 to 5ers who just eat 3 meals a day, and then you know, sometimes 5. Like what's like your take on that?
It's funny because I mean I've tried most of them. I've tried intermittent fasting. I've tried all sorts of things. 6 meals a day for a week, and like, I mean, if someone eats 6 meals a day I don't know how they don't go crazy, to be honest with you. Like, it's so interesting that 6 meals a day. I know where it comes from, because like it helps you with your metabolism, and if you have a low metabolism, by all means do 6 meals a day, because it'll actually keep it boosting. But for the average Joe or anyone that has a regular metabolism, I mean, 6 meals a day is just absurd, and no one has a lifestyle that can really do that, you know, right now at least. You know, if you do, by all means go for it, but I wouldn't say there's a perfect amount of meals you should have per day. That's where it comes from, like with the lifestyle thing. Like, if someone skips breakfast, for instance, on a regular basis, and they don't want to change that, try to alter it around that, and just stick with it. It doesn't have to be perfect just because someone else is saying that 6 meals is what you should be doing. You know, try it out. If it doesn't work for you, don't do it. You know, do what works for you, you know, at the end of the day. Whether that's one big meal at the end of the day, you know, and your body's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, if your gut doesn't really get destroyed or anything like that, or if like your digestive system's fine with it, then yeah, absolutely. But it really just comes down to how your body feels when you eat. You know, like when you're hungry, you should eat, or you know, you should be more in tune with your body than really focusing on the amount of meals you're eating. As long as you're getting the calories and the protein, I really don't think there's a big deal.
So that brings me to another question. You know, like, I feel like a lot of people are fast-paced lifestyle, trying to, you know, chase that dollar bill. As we all know, if you chase a dollar, it keeps running. So that's another story for another day. But like, people are just, you know, hyped off adrenaline all day long, and they don't get hungry because, you know, adrenaline or caffeine kind of curbs your appetite. So like, how do you suggest for, you know, 9 to 5ers or people who are just super busy, super hectic and stressed out, stay on top of their nutrition? Because obviously they're doing their workouts, but their nutrition isn't on point.
I mean, meal prep is always the go-to if you have the time. I mean, everyone, when it comes to like stuff like that, if you're busy and you have a goal with nutrition, you do have to carve out time at some point. You can't just like wing it the whole time. Like, you can't just be like, I gotta eat, so I'm gonna go to a store and go get food, and like kind of just wing it every day. Like, you're not gonna stay on track and you're insane doing that. So like, you have to carve out time, definitely, if you know you're a busy person, to meal prep or do some sort of planning during the week. Whether you don't have to meal prep, but you can plan out your meals. Like, if you're like, at lunch today, I'm gonna go to this place and I know how many calories are in it because I looked, then that's fine. That's planning just as much as meal prep is. So there has to be some sort of time where you carve out time for, you know, what you're gonna be eating for that week. You know, especially, I mean, even it doesn't matter if you're busy. I mean, if you want that, you have to, you know, sacrifice a little couple hours, whether it's at breakfast, to plan something out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then tracking, you know, I did already a video on counting your macros. If you didn't watch that,
Check it out. It's good.
Yeah, click somewhere here in this general area. I don't know where I'm putting it. I'm still learning, guys. Still learning. But counting and tracking your macros, you know, we already went over that.
Yeah.
But one of the goals I set on that is keeping accountability to like yourself. Like, how do you suggest people do that? Or if they can't do that, do they just hire somebody like you, or like how do they kind of get on track?
I mean, I would never say no to hiring me, but you can definitely, there's definitely other ways to accountability for sure. I mean, there's, Instagram or, something like that. And like, just think about what your end goal is really. Just keep that in the back of your head of like, if you're trying to lose weight or if you're trying to gain weight, gain muscle, remember just like what your goal is in the beginning, and always keep that running through you, especially when you're like, you have an off week, which happens. You're not going to have like a perfect week every single week. That's just not how it works. But if you're on track and you make small little progresses with it, then you got to sit back and be like, that was a win. Don't think about all the losses or like the small little downsides of the week. Think about the things that you're actually doing, whether it's good or bad. Just think about it, sit back and be like, that was a good win.
Yeah,
just keep you on the road.
And to build off of that, a lot of people may like splurge on a night out when they go on a date, or on with your buddies or family, whatever, and then or they just splurge in general because they're just craving some of that junky food, and then they feel bad and they hop off their diet, and then they're like, oh, I gave it a shot, I tried my best. It's like, well, first off, you didn't try walking up the stairs, see how far you get. But like, how do they get back on track not having that perfect couple days?
You just gotta, well, it depends on the days too. I mean, if you go on a binge or something, or you're like drinking or something, it'll be tough mentally and physically. But if you say to yourself that's what your goal is, I mean, for me, if I set a goal, I'm going for it, but not everyone has that kind of mentality. So it really comes down to how well you prepared for that goal. So like, if you go out like that weekend and you're like, you're gonna drink like a lot, or if you're gonna splurge on some food and have a cheesecake or something like that, if you know this before you go out and you know that, you're gonna go back on track on Monday, then stick to that. Most people who prepare for something like that and know that they're gonna go back on track on Monday, they usually come through with it. You know what I mean? Depending on how hard it went. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, getting back on track is really just about remembering why you started in the first place.
Okay. And speaking about dates, since I'm kind of a crazy question, but what foods can I eat to get a girlfriend?
To get a girlfriend?
So your boy's lonely out here.
You gotta learn how to cook.
You heard it from the man himself. To get a girlfriend, you need to cook.
Yeah.
Noted.
Yep. I mean, that's like, it's so overplayed in my world, but anytime anyone, even guys, even girls and guys, if I tell them I cook, they're like, yo, when you cooking for me? You know what I mean? So I'm not really talking about my business at that point. I'm just saying I can cook, and they're just like, all right. So, but at the end, cooking is a good trait, I guess, to have. Just in general, not even about like dating or anything like that, but it's definitely a plus.
So, serious question now. All these bodybuilders you see that it's like stepping on stage, and obviously you have your natural competition, and you have your not natural competition. And me being a personal trainer, knowing kind of who's actually natural and who's not, like, I'm not gonna name any fitness stars or anything like that, but how, like, you see them on Instagram eating like small portions when they're cutting, and they only eat about 6 times a day, but they're small portions. But then you see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson eating 6 massive meals, and he's just as big as these other guys. So it's like, how do you how does that make any sense?
I would say it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I do respect The Rock, and I respect anyone who's trying to be on stage and stuff like that. It's not for me personally, but I think that he is a good person to look up to for sure. It's unrealistic to try to think that you're going to look like him, because a lot of that has to do with genetics, and a lot of that has to do with behind the scenes work, and his lifestyle is curated for that. You know what I mean? At this point in his life, he can do pretty much anything he wants, and it's not realistic at all for someone else. and he knows that too, and that's what I like about him. So when you look at him and you're looking at like what he eats and like how he works out and how big he is and how often he works out and the type of workouts he's doing, it doesn't really add up if you know what you're talking about. Like, you're kind of like, there's something there. But for someone who's just starting out, he's a perfect person to look up to for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to like working out and dieting, his diet is pretty cookie cutter for the most part. You know, they have 6 days on and then 1 day cheat day where he just eats crazy food.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not a bad thing, but for someone who doesn't really know too much about it, he's a perfect person to, you know, take little bits and pieces of his lifestyle about, because there's a lot of things that do work.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And then going off genetics. Sorry if this video is getting super long, guy. I don't know about you, but I'm getting a lot of information. That's why I'm asking so many questions.
Yeah.
Genetics, like, people are always saying like, oh, this or that about genetics. And then if they don't get the physique that they want, they kind of get, you know, butthurt about it. So like, how do you I won't say overlook genetics, but like, how do you just not let that distract you from what you're trying to get to?
Well, genetics, I mean, I don't know too much about genetics, but I do know that they do have a role to play when it comes to what foods work for you, and what foods don't work for you. When it comes to like an inflammatory response. Now, that's not really too nutritional, but it's more about what your body can handle and what your body can't handle. And if you want to go into it, I mean, there's more. If you look at your heritage, where your family comes from, and that's where your genetic makeup comes from. If you look at the foods that they ate, that can help you. So that's do a little research on that if you want to do it. But if you're trying to look past that, I mean, you shouldn't let genetics be the barrier between you and your goals at all. I mean, there's so much more potential there than just your genetic buildup. You can't just be like, oh, I'm genetically weak, and that's just not a thing.
Yeah.
So you have to be up here mentally about it. It's more of a mental thing than genetics, you know?
Yeah.
So when you hear someone's just like, oh, that guy's genetically built, I'm just like, well, he could have good genetics, but he could also be a fat dude. You know what I mean? He could just be skinny. You know, if he didn't put in the work that he has right now, like Dwayne The Rock. I mean, regardless of what he looks like right now, yeah, because he puts the work in too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It goes hand in hand. You know, if he has, just because he has good genetics doesn't mean that he didn't put the work in. You know what I mean? So you don't, and plus that's not a good excuse, especially if you're just starting out too. If you're like, oh, genetically, I think I'm gonna get there. Like, how do you know?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not even.
Yeah.
If you're not putting in the work, and it takes a while. It's not like it comes overnight. You know, you just gotta put in little victories. You know.
Yeah.
So
2 more questions. One last one, and then we'll ask the other one to wrap it up.
Yeah.
There's a spider right there.
Oh shit. Oh wow, that's a big one. Oh wow.
We're cutting that out. But
that was a big ass spider.
as you can tell, we don't like spiders.
Good with that.
Yeah.
Good.
Fun fact, I hate spiders. If any girls are watching this and there's a spider in the room, I'm the first one out, yo.
He ain't gonna get it. He's not gonna get it.
I'm gonna leave. But anyways, I was gonna ask, dang, I forget what I was gonna ask.
What we got?
I'll ask this one, then maybe it'll come to me. So, you know, not regarding to nutrition, but about your business.
Yeah.
What's your end goal with starting this business? You know, are you doing it? Because you said in the beginning, it's like there was other things you so much more enjoyed,
Yeah.
but you know, you found that you were good at this, and obviously it's lucrative for you. So it's like, what's your end goal with this? Because everybody always has an end goal with the business, so that's what I'm gonna ask.
My end goal with my business would probably be to try to, I mean, I would love to hire more people to, you know, run it for me. And basically take the morals that I have with this and my mission statement with this and like run with it. It's tough to find people that have the same type of outlook for me when it comes to the quality and the personalization that I do with my meals and stuff like that. But the end goal would probably be that, is just having someone run it and just having more people, little soul chefs, just going around and just cooking for people, you know?
Yeah.
I would love to just run it. But I mean, there are other things that I do like to do. I would say that I'm not skillful in those other things. I would say that those are just more passionate things that I like to do. Like I like movies. Like if I could direct a movie, I would love to direct a movie. Like stuff like that,
Yeah.
writing movies. I love that kind of stuff. But that's more of like a hobby of mine. I don't think I would go into it too much because I think it's not that I can't do it. It's just more that I would rather I like being just like kind of introduced to it a little bit.
Yeah.
Just like a little this, little that, you know. But with the chefing, that's kind of like the end goal. And a restaurant would be cool. Some sort of curated restaurant
Nice.
that's curated for people based on what they like, and like and when they come in, they'll have a customized menu or something like that.
Yeah.
Personalization, not to get into it too much detail.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
something along the lines of that, something different.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many different restaurants out there. I mean, competition's crazy, but
Yeah.
maybe something like that. Maybe like a food truck. But
Cool.
there's a lot of paths that this could take for sure.
Yeah.
I don't have like an end goal in my mind right now, like this is how it wants to end. But there are definitely avenues
Where you wanna go.
I'm exploring. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so I didn't ask him his credentials. Reason being is because when you're going out in that quote unquote business world and you're trying to evaluate if somebody's credible or not credible, look at the way they carry themselves and they speak and the way everything about them. If you see he's just super confident, super natural, and you can tell this is not his first rodeo. As you can tell, this is my first rodeo because I'm super engaged and I'm super excited about it. But a man like this is a man you want to hire. So where can they find you?
Souleats.net. That is the website.
It'll be right there.
Yep, www. You gotta put the www. It's so weird. It's because it's .net.
And then do you have an Instagram?
Yeah, soul.chef.
Soul.chef.
Check it out. That's the business page for sure. You can follow me on Alec Chandler LeBlanc. That's the personal page.
And then
Check it out.
do you do packages or do you just like how does it work? Like obviously you don't have to give them pricing here and scar their lives.
Just email me. Just email me through either the website or my Instagram, and we can talk about what we want to do. You know, I can do pretty much the same thing.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And I know there's gonna be guys out there and girls saying like, but what are his credentials? Can he actually talk about it? Just give him real quickly your credentials, because I didn't ask because I know how good he is, and you can obviously tell by this whole conversation how good he is. But just for you guys, keep you guys happy.
I do have a master's in nutrition, and then the cooking. My family actually cooks. I have a few cooks and chefs and sous chefs in my family, so I do know how to cook as well. So
See, that's why I didn't ask because I know. But yeah, so yeah, we're definitely be doing more collaborations with him when we're doing my series. The bulking series is coming up. It's gonna be called Fluffiness.
I like it.
It's gonna be a little different, a little fun, and then once my cutting season starts, we'll wrap it back up with him, and he'll be a little bit more interactive with that. So
Oh, yeah.
stay tuned, guys, for the next clip, and let's get this workout in. All right.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Oh, my legs.
At least you got the spider.